He was standing in his own driveway, watering the lawn like he did every Saturday. The sun was bright, the neighborhood calm, until a car pulled up and men in fake uniforms jumped out, claiming they were neighborhood security. But this wasn't about safety. This was about control, about making a black man feel small in his own home. What they didn't know was that the man they were targeting wasn't just any homeowner. He was one of the FBI's most feared undercover agents. And in seconds, their game was about to flip. Marcus Carter had always been careful about where he lived. After years of working dangerous assignments, he wanted peace. He chose a suburban neighborhood with neat lawns, quiet streets, and families who waved hello at the mailbox. On the surface, it was the American dream. But beneath that calm surface, Marcus noticed something else. The way neighbors stared too long, the whispers when he parked his black SUV, the subtle suspicion that followed him. He was used to it. Being a black man in America meant you learned to sense hostility long before it showed its face. Still, Marcus believed he could ignore it. He kept his head down, tended his garden, paid his HOA fees, and never missed a meeting. Yet tension simmered. Every time he drove home, he felt eyes on him. Every time he walked his dog, someone seemed to be watching. Then, on a warm Saturday morning, it all came to a boil. Marcus was in his driveway, hose in hand, when a car pulled up fast. Out jumped three men in uniforms that looked official, badges on their belts, radios on their shoulders. They called themselves HOA police. To the casual eye, it might have looked legitimate. But Marcus saw the signs instantly. Fake patches, plastic cuffs, and an energy that was more aggression than authority. He knew this wasn't about HOA rules. This was about intimidation, about forcing him to submit. What they didn't know, what would soon flip this confrontation upside down, was that Marcus Carter was no ordinary target. The men spread out, blocking the driveway like they'd rehearsed it. One barked orders, demanding Marcus put down the hose and step aside. Another fingered the handcuffs at his belt, smirking as if the outcome was already decided. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, some whispering, others filming. The entire street seemed to freeze, as if waiting to see how Marcus would respond. He could feel the weight of their eyes, the unspoken question. Would he fight? Would he surrender? Marcus stayed calm, but inside, a storm raged. He had faced cartel enforcers, foreign spies, and armed fugitives, but nothing cut deeper than this. Being treated as a criminal simply for existing in his own space. The leader stepped closer, waving a paper he claimed was a notice of violation. It was laughable. A printout from a home computer, nothing official at all. They accused Marcus of unauthorized parking, suspicious activity, and disturbing the peace. All lies, dressed up as authority. For years, Marcus had seen how racism wore masks. Sometimes it was a look, sometimes a policy, and sometimes, like now, it was a badge that wasn't real. He recognized the tactic instantly. Overwhelm, intimidate, and make the target comply before he had time to question it. But Marcus wasn't the man they thought he was. His years as an FBI agent had trained him to spot deception, to measure risk, and most importantly, to wait for the perfect moment. The crowd grew. Phones were out. A child whispered to her mother, asking why those men were yelling. And Marcus knew. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about every time a black man had been cornered, humiliated, or erased by false authority. He stood still, calm, letting them circle. His silence made them uneasy. They shouted louder, pushing closer, trying to provoke him. And then the moment came. The leader reached for his arm, confident he had control. But Marcus was done playing. In one fluid motion, Marcus moved. He twisted free, stepped forward, and with the precision of years of training, disarmed the man reaching for him. The fake radio clattered to the ground. The smirk vanished. The other two froze, shocked at how quickly control had shifted. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence, his calm authority, was louder than any threat. He pulled back his jacket, revealing the badge clipped to his belt, the real badge, shining in the sunlight. FBI. Gasps rippled through the small crowd of neighbors. Phones zoomed in. The men in fake uniforms turned pale, their arrogance collapsing into panic. They had walked straight into the trap they thought they had set. Marcus locked eyes with them, and for the first time, they saw the truth. They hadn't cornered a vulnerable homeowner. They had picked a fight with one of the country's most feared agents. Every second stretched like an eternity. The leader stumbled over his words, trying to explain, trying to backpedal. But there was no escape. Not from the badge, not from the cameras, not from the truth. The street was silent now. No more whispers, no more hidden laughter. Just the sight of three men exposed, frauds who had come to intimidate, now standing powerless in front of the very man they tried to break. And Marcus, steady as stone, made his choice. He wasn't just defending himself. He was making a statement. Within minutes, real authorities arrived. The fake HOA police were cuffed and led away, their bravado gone, replaced by the silence of shame. Neighbors whispered in disbelief, some embarrassed they had ever supported the men, others shaken by what they had just witnessed. Marcus stood tall, but inside, the weight of the moment pressed on him. This wasn't victory, it was exposure. Exposure of how far some would go to maintain control, to remind a black man of his place, even in the quiet streets of suburbia. Yet it was also a revelation, because now the cameras had captured it. The truth couldn't be denied. The masks had been ripped away, not just from three imposters, but from a system that allowed this kind of theater to exist in the first place. That night, Marcus sat on his porch, watching the streetlights flicker. He thought of all the names he knew, the men and women who hadn't been able to fight back, who hadn't had a badge to protect them, who had been silenced. He thought of how close this day had come to being another tragedy instead of a reckoning. And he asked himself the question so many ask in silence. How many more times will it take? How many more Marcus Carters will have to stand in their driveways, stared down by false authority, before the world finally admits what is broken? This wasn't just one man's story. It was a reflection of millions. A reminder that racism doesn't always wear a hood or carry a gun. Sometimes it shows up in a neighbor's smile, in a fake badge, in the quiet attempt to make someone feel less than human. If this story moved you, don't just watch in silence. Share it. Talk about it. Because silence protects the oppressors. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Together, we make sure voices like Marcus's are never ignored again.